Hey everyone, I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria, tracking down the Danube civilization and the Vinca culture. Civilization that flourished here around 5000 BC. The Vinca culture arguably has the earliest form of writing and the earliest calendar ever discovered, so that's incredibly intriguing to me. So the National Museum of Archaeology doesn't have anything from the Vinca culture, but they do have the broader Danube culture represented. These are particularly from the Karanovo culture, and this one dates to 4000 to 5000 BC. This one also dates from 4000 to 5000 BC. So I just had my mind completely blown at the National Archaeology Museum in Sofia. They had naval hand figurines from the Chalcolithic, from the 4th millennium BC. They had naval hand figurines from the 5th millennium BC. And they had a gold figurine contemporary with the oldest gold ever created by humanity, and it was a naval hands figure. So my mind is just so blown that at the very beginning of humans starting to work gold, they were creating naval figurines out of gold. Hello everyone, I am in Pristina, Kosovo, and I've come all the way to Kosovo just to go to the Kosovo Museum just to see the Vinca figurines that they have there. Vinca figurines are incredibly rare. You can only see them at a few museums in the entire world. The British Museum has one, the National Museum in Belgrade, Serbia has a few, and here in Kosovo, at the Kosovo Museum, there is a large collection of some of the most incredible Vinca figurines in the entire world. This is it. This is the Kosovo Museum. So here we are inside the room that contains all the Vinca figurines. Now these date from 5700 BC to 5800 BC, and you can see they all have their hands around their navel. The Vinca were one of the earliest agricultural societies in Bulgaria, if not the earliest, and the Karanovo might predate them, but the Vinca were the earliest culture to work copper in Bulgaria. In Jerusalem, Israel, at the Israel Museum, hoping to track down some Phoenician sarcophagi and some other ancient art. These are the famous Phoenician sarcophagi. They date to from 1200 BC to 1300 BC, and they were recovered from the land of Canaan, or what is today Gaza. And these idols are from Beersheba. These are the famous Beersheba idols. They date to the time and provenance of the first use of copper in Israel, about 4000 BC. Hello. I am in Iraq at the National Museum. So these are pre-Sumerian figurines. These date to 6000 BC. Pre-Sumerian. And now we're in Colombia at the National Museum in Bogota. And I didn't take an intro video in this museum, but these are from a variety of ancient cultures in Colombia. Now we're in the Gold Museum in Lima, Peru, where we're going to see the naval hands symbolism expressed throughout a multitude of ancient cultures in Peru. These are from the Moche civilization. These are from the Chimu culture. Now let's go to Tahiti, to the Museum of Tahiti and the Islands. These statues are from the Marquesas Islands. And this is depictions of the Tiki, the chief deity of Polynesia, who in the Marquesas and Tahiti was always depicted with his hands around his navel. Now let's go to Sardinia, the Ozieri culture, with these idols in the Cagliari Museum, and these date to about 4000 BC. Now we're in the Cycladic Museum of Athens, Greece. This is one of the earliest Cycladic figurines ever found, 3000 BC. This is an Olmec artifact. The Olmecs were the first culture to work copper in Mexico. and they were also the first culture to express this symbolism of the hands meeting around the navel. So that's something we see notably in Portugal and in Israel, among other places, Kosovo as well. The copper working and the naval idol symbolism kind of emerged together. This statue was recovered from the Pyramid of the Moon in Teotihuacan, and it's the goddess Chalchihuitlique. Again, this statue was removed from the Pyramid of the Moon in Teotihuacan. And it's just a reminder how incredible these ancient sites must have looked in their heyday and how they've been stripped of all of their artifacts, statues, symbolism. Most pyramids today are just empty, bare buildings, but statues like this used to adorn the ones, at least in Teotihuacan. But out of all the museums I visited, Mexico had the most naval idols, hands down, of any museum in the world. There must be over 200 different naval idols in the Mexico National Museum. Here's just a handful of some. Again, these are all from ancient Mesoamerican cultures. There's so many different ones represented here. This one is really interesting. This one is almost wearing a V-neck, some kind of V-neck garment, which is curious because it's very similar to the V-neck that Urfa Man is wearing. That's the statue that's from nearly 10,000 BC, from the Taz-Tepler culture. Similar to the V-necks worn by the Vinci figurines, some of the Vinci from 5700 to 5800 BC from Kosovo wear the V-necks. Pre-Indus Valley civilization, this is from 6500 BC. This artifact is on display in the British Museum. You can see it for yourself. I had to sketch it. And the V-necks worn by the Groupe de Trailles in France. This culture settled along copper veins and was the first culture to work copper in France. And you can see they wear this same kind of V-neck garment, which is really interesting. This museum in Sion, Switzerland, this gets the award for most difficult museum to get to. You literally have to hike up this mountain pass past literal castles. There's no other way to get to this museum. You have to hike down this road and then you get to this castle overlooking this other castle. And this is the museum right here. And I hiked up to this museum just to see this statue. The statue wasn't actually here. They had sent it to the museum in Zurich, but they had a sketch of the statue in its place. But the sketch is actually really cool because you can see the hands of this statue up close and in great detail. So yeah, this is it right here. We're looking at the hands of this statue. So this statue comes to us from the Petit Hunter necropolis, and this is dated to about 2700 BC. And this is the Petit Hunter necropolis. And this culture did work copper. They had copper. They're not the earliest culture to work copper in Switzerland, but they are one of the earliest cultures in Switzerland to work copper. So real quick, let's head over to the museum in Zurich and view the actual statue. This is it here. Now we're looking at the actual original. You can see the hands are pretty much flaked away or weathered away or worn off. You can barely even see the hands on this statue anymore, which is why I'm so glad I hiked up to that museum in Sion, because they had the sketch including the detail of the hands, which was wonderful to see. If I was just looking at the statue, I wouldn't be certain that this was a naval idol at all. But and then there was a really cool book in the gift shop that I picked up, and they had detailed some other naval idols that had been found but are in God knows what museum. And if you ever make it out to Switzerland, do yourself a favor and ride the Rotobahn. Make the time, set aside the extra day, head out to Kandersteg and ride the Rotobahn. And you know I had to save the best for last, Göbekli Tepe. We're not at Göbekli Tepe right now, we're at the Urfa Museum. This is Pillar 43 of Enclosure D, of course. But we didn't come here to look at Pillar 43 necessarily. We did come here, however, to look at Urfa Man. This is the oldest life-size statue of a human ever recovered. It's from the Tas-Tepler culture, recovered not far from Göbekli Tepe, and it dates from about 9,000 BC to 10,000 BC. But it's not the only figure we find in the Tas-Tepler holding its navel. We find fragments of other statues like this one, with its hands and arms in the same configuration. And real quick, just wanted to throw this in. These are some of the animals they've uncovered, the animal sculptures they've unearthed at Göbekli Tepe. And what can I say? It's a goddamn zoo. These people were very into their animals. These are the chief T-pillars of Enclosure D, and you can see they have arms and hands that meet around their navel as well. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people don't realize that the T-pillars have arms and hands that meet around their navel. Not all of them, but these two central T-pillars in Enclosure D do express this symbolism.